us go to the first unit. The first unit consists of the communication skill. In this, we are going to see the introduction, definition, importance of communication, and the communication process. Okay, so this is the thing that we are going to study today. Right now, about communication. Communication is the word which is derived from the Latin word, which is communis. Okay, communis is a Latin word which means common. Okay, so this word communication is derived from the word common. So why this word common and communication, how they are related? Because you discuss, you share the information in between two people which are common to you, both of you all, isn't it? I am communicating to this chapter communication because this is common to both of us, right? I'm not talking about leadership. Why I'm not talking about leadership? Because it is not common to you. It may be common to me, it may be related to me, but it is not related to you because it is not there in your syllabus. In the similar manner, whenever you do communication, you discuss the things which are somewhat common in between both of you all. Like two friends, when like these two, they are discussing with each other. He's saying something and he's listening something. So he is listening whatever is common to him, and he's saying he is giving the information whatever is common in between both of them. If there is nothing common in between two people, then there cannot be communication, there cannot be passage of information in between the two people. Okay, so communication is a word derived from the word communis, which is a Latin word which means common. If you see the definition of communication, okay, it is defined as sending and receiving of information. Okay, what is communication? It is nothing but one person is sending the information. This person, okay, is sending the information while this person is receiving the information. So it is sending and receiving of information in between two or more people. If there was one person over, and like what I am doing, I am one person who is giving the information, okay, who is sending the information, whereas there are near about 40 or 50 odd students who are there on the other sides online, okay, who are listening to me. So this is the transfer of information between how many people? Between many people, between one sender and many receivers. This information is going on. Okay, so communication is defined as sending and receiving of information between two or more people. Now the person who is sending the message, this person who is sending the message is known as a sender, whereas this person who is receiving the message is known as the receiver. Okay, got it? So one person is the sender, one person is the receiver, and in between the sender and the receiver, what is transferred? The transferred is the information. The information is transferred in between them. Now, this information would be what? This information could be facts, it could be different ideas, it could be different concepts, it would be opinion, beliefs, attitude, instruction, emotions. So lots of information are there, isn't it? In between these two people, the information is going to be transferred. It may be some emotional information which would be transferred. It would be some facts this person would be giving to this person. It would be some idea that this person is transferring to this person. It would be some concept that this sender is giving to this receiver. It could be some beliefs that he has, okay, that he is giving to this person. Okay, so there are different information that this person is transferring to this person, and sending this information from the sender to the receiver is nothing but communication. Okay, G.G. Brown, one of the management scientists, according to him, communication is transfer of information. Okay, it is transfer of information from one person to other person, and such. So he has added one more condition to it. So what is the condition he has added? Such that the information transfer is understandable to the receiver. If he is giving the information, if I am giving the information to you, and if you are not understanding anything, then that is not a communication. That is just a half communication. That is communication which is done from my side. Okay, if by the end of this lecture, If you have not understood anything, whatever concepts I want to tell you, if those concepts are not clear, then according to G.G. Brown, the communication is not completed. It is not only giving the information from the sender to the receiver. According to him, the receiver should also understand what the communicator, what the sender has to give. So you as a sender, supposing you are giving the information, supposing you are talking with me, supposing you are talking with your colleagues, you are talking with your subordinates, you become a manager and you are talking to your subordinates, you are giving him some, you are giving them some information. And while giving this information, okay, what is happening is your subordinates are not understanding it. They are not able to follow your instruction. Then communication has not taken place. Communication will take place only when whatever I want to tell you, you are understanding it. Only then and then the communication has taken place according to G.G. Brown. Okay, and according to me also, and according to many of them. Okay. This is all about the communication. Which talks about the information, which talks about what is the information, which talks about the sender, which talks about the receiver, okay, which talks about understanding of the receiver. Okay, this is all about the definition of the communication. Okay, now communication skill, okay, is nothing but to convey the information in an effectively and efficient way. When this information is effectively communicated by the sender to the receiver, then you can say that this communication is effective communication. You are having that communication skill. Okay, skillfully the communication has been transferred from the receiver to the sender. Okay, so communication skill is the ability. Okay, so it's the ability of that person to convey information to another person effectively and efficiently. Okay, got it? Understood? Any problem in this slide?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Any question that you have?
No, sir.
No.
Okay.
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
Yeah. Now let us go to the importance of communication. Is communication important or not? Communication is very important. Okay. Success and failure of any organization depends upon the managers. Okay, it doesn't depend upon the equipment, it doesn't depend upon the procedures, it doesn't depend upon money, it doesn't depend upon anything. It basically depends, any success or failure of an organization depends upon its people. Okay, its people means its managers. And the success of any manager depends upon how good communication skill he has. If a manager has a good communication skill, then the manager is successful. If the manager is successful, then the organization is successful. In short, if your managers have good communication skill, that will lead to success of your organization. Okay, so see how important it is. The success of any organization depends upon the communication skill. There are many functions that a manager performs, like he does planning, he does organizing, he does staffing, he does motivating, he does leading, he does controlling. These are different functions that a manager performs. For planning, if he has to do effective planning, what is required? He requires very good communication skill. If he is doing organizing, okay, organizing is nothing but having proper people at proper place at proper time. Okay, कौन से व्यक्ति को क्या काम देना है, okay, that is nothing but organization in organization. Okay, that is organizing in organization. Okay, so for having good organizing skill, he should have good communication skill. Staffing is recruiting the people. If he has to be a good recruiter, he should be very good in taking interviews, isn't it? Understanding that person. For that also, for staffing also, communication is required. For motivating, definitely communication is required. Your father, mother, they have motivated you up till now. Okay, you know, you motivate your small brothers and sisters, isn't it? you have motivated small kids, etc. So for that, what is required? You require a very good communication skill. For leading from the front, you require a very good communication skill. For controlling the activities that are going on in an organization, you require a very good communication skill. Okay, so communication skill is required for each and every function that a manager carries out. That much important is communication. Okay, next importance is communication helps the manager to delegate. What is the meaning of delegation? Now a manager himself cannot do all the work. He has to get the work done from his subordinates, isn't it? So in order to get the work done from the subordinate, what the manager has to do? The manager has to delegate the work. He has to give the work to the subordinates. Okay, so delegation is nothing but getting the things done from other people. And in order to delegate, what does the manager require? He requires a very good communication skill, because he has to explain him how the work is going to be get done, isn't it? And for all that, he requires a very good communication skill. The next thing that is required is the manager has to pass on the message that is received by him to the subordinates. So he receives the information from the higher officials, and that information, whatever he gets, he transfers it to the lower people, isn't it? So one, he requires a very good communication skill, that is the listening skill. He should be able to grasp the things, he should be able to understand the things. Okay, for that also he requires good communication. He should understand them very correctly. Okay, whatever the information is given from the top officials, he has to understand them correctly, and at the same time he has to pass on that communication to the lower people, whereby they also understand collectively, isn't it? So he has to receive the information. Okay, he has to receive the information correctly, which you are going to see as a decoding, coding, etc. in the next part of my lecture. Okay, so he has to understand the information properly, and then he has to again pass on that information to the group of people who are working under him. Okay, and for that, what is required? You require a very good communication skill, right? Now the manager needs to communicate with many people. He requires to communicate with subordinates, he requires to communicate with the superiors, he requires to communicate with the colleagues, the customers, and the suppliers. Okay, so a manager needs to communicate with many people, and for all this communication, what he requires is a very good communication skill. Just for an example, a manager has to do some purchasing for his company. If he has a very good communication skill, then what he is able to do? He is going to negotiate, he is going to get a very good cost. Okay, he is going to get the goods at very good cost. At the same time, if he is a very good communicator, then he can sell the same goods at a very good cost, isn't it? So he can buy at a less price and he can sell at a very good price. That all is possible only if he is a very good communicator, right? Further, manager not only has to do oral communication, but he has to do a lot of written communication also, in the form of letters, in the form of report, in the form of memos, in the form of notices. Okay, isn't it? And all this has to be in the form of a written communication. So manager not only has to be a very good should not only have very good oral communication skill, but at the same time he has to have a very good, what you call that, written communication skill also. Okay, so these are some of the importance of your communication skill. Moving ahead with the further importance. Okay, now the manager has to do a lot of planning and decision making. The planning and decision making, okay, depends upon what? It depends upon communication, right? If he has a very good communication, then he will do a very good planning. Planning leads to success. Okay, if you plan, then only you are going to be successful. If you don't plan, you're not going to be successful. Then decision making, he has to make a lot of decisions. He is going to make a right decision when he is communicating with lots of people. If he discusses, isn't it? Now you had to make a decision. You had to make a decision which course I am going to select. Whether I am going to go for a pharmacy, whether I am going to go for architecture, whether I am going to go for BAMS, BHMS, MBBS, and so on and so forth. Whether BSc, or whether I am going to go for computer science and etc. So there were many things that were going on in your mind. So what you did was you communicated. You communicated with whom? You communicated with your elders, isn't it? Your elder brother. You asked him, what should I do? Whether I should do this or whether I should do that. Which course should I take? Isn't it? You discuss with your parents. You discuss with your uncles. You discuss with your aunties. You discuss with professors in the college, isn't it? And after discussing means what you did. You did communication. You communicated with your elders. You communicated with your teachers. You communicated with your what you call that, guardians. Ask them, what should I do? Which college should I have decided to take pharmacy. So these are the colleges that are available in my list. Which college should I which college should I select? You must have asked many people, isn't it? And then you must have, after communication, you have come to a decision. So in order to make a decision, what you had to do is you had to communicate with people. So decision making also you have to communicate a lot. So for planning, for decision making, you have to do communication. This communication is nothing but the lifeline of the organization. Just imagine, what is the difference between a human being, okay, and an animal, okay? The main basic difference is the effective communication. Dogs, they also communicate. Lions, they also communicate, okay? If you take any animal, cat, they also communicate, okay? But the communication that happens between the human being is too much, what you call that, is too much an effective communication. We have a lot of communication skill, okay? If you see the cat, dogs, etc., they must be having some few words in their kitty, okay? Whereas you have thousands and lakhs of words that are there, isn't it? And hence you are able to communicate. You are able to communicate orally. You are able to communicate written communication. This written communication is not possible in case of your animals, okay? Even your non-verbal communications, isn't it? So if you see any organization, communication is the lifeline of that organization. If you remove communication from an organization, the organization is going to fail. Just imagine if there is an organization where nobody is communicating anything. I'm not talking about the written communication, no written communication, no oral communication, okay, and there is no communication through gestures also. Will this organization be successful? No, because communication acts as a lubricant for the organization, okay? For the smooth functioning of the organization, communication is very, very important. Communication facilitates coordination, okay, whereby each and every person has the unity of action. Like you must be watching IPL nowadays, which is going on. In IPL, what must be happening is the person who is entering inside the field batting के लिए अगर कोई person एक out हो गया, दूसरा अंदर जा रहा है, so there must be a lot of information that is passed on to that person, isn't it? Yes or no? So lot of information is passed on to that person. Why? Because they want unity in action. They want whatever is the thinking, okay, the player should be playing according to that. When a bowler comes to bowl, what happens is 2 or 3 players come near to him, they discuss with him, and then they go back, because they want unity of action in them, right? In the similar manner, in any organization, in order to facilitate the coordination in between the people, what is important is communication is important. If there is a proper communication, then the coordination is going to be proper, okay? It elevates managers' efficiency. Any manager ki efficiency is getting elevated if he is having a very good communication. He is an effective manager if he is having an effective communication. It strengthens the employer-employee relationship. It is very important. The employer and employee, there should be a very good, cohesive, nice relationship. That relationship is strengthened if you communicate. Your parents and your relationship are strengthened if you communicate with them regularly. Your brothers and your relationship are strengthened if you communicate regularly. Your and your friends relationship, they strengthen. How do they strengthen? Because you communicate with them. You call up, you call them, you discuss with them, isn't it? और जब आप ये सब डिस्कस करते हो, सब उनसे बातचीत करते हो, then what is happening is the communicationship is the relationship is strengthened. So for any relationship strengthen, what important is communication. So is your relationship going to be strengthened? No. Similar is about the employer and employee. The employer and employee relationship is going to be strengthened only and only when there is a proper communication that is there in between them. Communication is the first step for leadership. If you want to have a very good leadership, if you want to be a very good leader, then you have effective communication. अगर आपका communication effective नहीं है तो you cannot be a good leader. Communication is the first step to become a very good leader. Communication is very important for motivation and building the morale of your organization, of your people. For motivating a person, what you require is you require communication. You require effective communication. Okay. For delegation, as I told you, if you want to delegate your people, you want to assign the work to your people, and you want that the work should be carried out by that people, then what you have to do is you should have effective communication. Just for an example, you want your small brother to go to the market and get something for you. So what you have to do is you have to do effective. This is nothing but delegation. You are asking him to do some work for you, or your dad wants some work to be done by you. It is some office work that he's having. He's getting loaded with that office work, and he wants you to do that work. What he's going to do is he's going to make you sit in front of you. He's going to tell you, beta, ऐसा 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 काम है, इसका purpose ऐसा 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 है, and I want to do this kind of work. So he is going to explain you everything nicely. That is how he is going to do. He is going to do it with the help of communication. He is going to communicate with you. He is going to tell you how the work is going to be done. And if he does that nicely, if your father does that nicely, then finally what is going to happen? You are going to do that work very nicely. Okay. So for effective delegation, okay, what is required is effective communication. Okay. For effective controlling means once a work has been given to you, right? Or once you give the work to somebody, you are going to check whether that work is done properly or not. In the previous example, I told you your dad is going to give you some work, isn't it? Now what he's going to do is after some time he's going to call you. He's going to say, Khushi beta, come over here, show me the work that I had given you, whether you are doing it nicely or not. That is nothing but controlling, checking whether the work that is given is done correctly or not. That is nothing but controlling. Okay. So for effective controlling also requires effective communication. And lastly, job satisfaction. In order to have satisfaction in your job, what you require is you require proper communication. If there is good communication in between the manager, between the employer, the employee, the subordinates, the managers, in between the colleagues, then only there is going to be proper job satisfaction that you are going to develop. अगर ये सब नहीं है तो आपका job satisfaction आपको काम में नहीं मिलने वाला. Okay, if there is no proper communication. Okay, so communication is very important because it is the basis of planning and decision making. Communication is the lifeline of organization. Communication facilitates coordination. Communication elevates managerial efficiency. Communication strengthens the employer and employee relationship. Communication is the basis of effective leadership. Communication gives you motivation and morale. It gives you effective delegation is possible because of communication. Effective controlling is possible because of communication, and also gives you job satisfaction.